Most people know Laura Ingalls Wilder as the beloved author of Little House on the Prairie. But what many don't know is that she didn't publish her first book until she was 65. For decades, she struggled through poverty, hardships, and personal loss. She spent most of her life as a farmer's wife, barely making ends meet. Yet, in her 60s, when most people slow down, she embarked on a new career, one that would make her one of the most famous authors in American history. This is the inspiring story of Laura Ingalls Wilder, the woman who proved it's never too late to achieve your dreams. Laura Ingalls Wilder was born in 1867 in a small log cabin in the Midwest. She grew up in a poor pioneer family, constantly moving across America in search of a better life. Laura had a childhood of hardship and struggle. Life was incredibly hard. Harsh winters and failed crops meant her family often had no food. Illnesses and disease were common. Her own sister, Mary, went blind from scarlet fever. Money was always tight, and the family struggled to survive. Despite all this, Laura was determined to get an education. She became a teacher at just 15 years old to help support her family. At 18, Laura married Almanzo Wilder, a young farmer. They had dreams of building a stable life, but disaster after disaster struck. Their farm was destroyed by drought and fire. Their son died in infancy. Almanzo suffered a crippling stroke, leaving him unable to work. They lost everything and had to start over again and again. For years, Laura worked as a teacher, seamstress, and farmer's wife, doing whatever it took to survive. By her 40s, life was still a constant battle. But she never gave up hope. In her 50s, Laura began writing to share all the knowledge she'd gained throughout her hard-scrabbled life. She wrote columns for a small rural newspaper, giving advice on farming, cooking, and pioneer life. Her writing was simple but powerful. People loved her stories, but she didn't think of herself as a real writer. At least, not yet. Then, in her 60s, everything changed. Encouraged by her daughter, Laura decided to try something bold. She decided to write a book about her childhood on the frontier. At 63 years old, she sat down and started writing. She worked tirelessly for 2 years, crafting the first draft of what would become Little House in the Big Woods. But when she sent her manuscript to publishers, she was rejected. They said no one cared about pioneer stories. They dismissed her as an unknown elderly woman. It would have been easy to give up, but Laura refused. She rewrote the book, polishing every detail. And in 1932, at the age of 65, she finally got published. Little House in the Big Woods was an instant success. It became a bestseller. Laura didn't stop with just one book. She wrote 8 more bestsellers in the Little House series. The series became a children's literature classic, beloved for its historical detail of pioneer life, simple writing, and powerful themes of resilience, family, and daily struggles living on the prairie. They've been translated into more than 40 languages and sold millions of copies worldwide. The books became part of American literary history. In 1974, 43 years after her first book was published, NBC premiered Little House on the Prairie, a family TV drama based on Laura's beloved books. The show starred Michael Landon as her father, Charles Ingalls, and Melissa Gilbert as young Laura, the spirited girl whose stories were inspired by Laura's own life on the American frontier. Set in the 1800s, the show explored themes of family, faith, and perseverance. It became a massive hit, running for 9 seasons and several TV movies. But while millions of fans remember the fictional version of Laura, the real woman behind the story lived a much harder, and in many ways, even more inspiring, life. The real Laura didn't grow up with TV perfect endings. She endured poverty, loss, and struggle well into adulthood. Her true story reminds us that life doesn't always follow a script. By the time she was in her 70s and 80s, Laura Ingalls Wilder was one of the most famous authors in America. Her legacy: it's never too late. For most of her life, she was a struggling farm wife, a woman without financial security, someone who had faced constant hardship. She could have given up. She could have told herself it was too late. But instead, she believed in her story, and changed history. Laura Ingalls Wilder didn't let age stop her. She started a brand new career in her 60s and became one of the most beloved authors of all time. So, if you think it's too late for you, remember her story. What's your next act? Your next chapter? Your best chapter might still be ahead of you, because success doesn't have an age limit. If you love inspiring stories of people who found success later in life, subscribe to Alive and Thriving.